Hello guys, welcome back to Shexa's YouTube channel. Please like if you truly like the content that I keep on uploading on this YouTube channel. Comment so that I get the suggestions and positive comments, and even those comments that you have. Share, and most importantly subscribe so that you don't miss out any new video that I upload on this YouTube channel. Let's talk about database management and warehousing. We've talked about several concepts about this course or this module, but today we are going to talk about a certain command that exists within data manipulation language. We've talked about the keys in the previous lectures. In one of the previous lectures, we've talked about SQL data insertion and deletion in one of the lectures, and today we're going to talk about SQL data updates. How do you do the updates? What areas do you need to take note of if you want to update or manipulate or change the data that already exists in a database table? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing is I will give you what an update command is and what is it used for. That is the theoretical part of this command. So unlike the insert statement, which is used to add new records, the update statement is used to update existing, or is used to change existing records in a table. Within the update command, we use a where clause. So the where clause specifies which record or which records are to be updated. So you can update only one record, or you can update more than one record. So the where clause is the one that gives you the decisions or the outcome to say I'm changing or I'm updating these records. So don't forget to use the where clause. Otherwise, the update will be applied to every record within the table that you have specified. And here is the syntax. You say if you want to update a record or some records, what you do is you say update. Update is the keyword, and then you specify the table name, and then you say set being a keyword, and you specify the column that you want to change the value, and then you specify the value. If you have more than one column, more than one columns to be changed the value, you then separate them by a comma, and then after that you put the where clause. And the where clause is more like a condition. The condition within the where clause is supposed to be satisfied, and the rows that exist within the table and satisfies the condition in the where clause are the ones that are going to be affected by the update. So that's it. And I'm sure that we've inserted a lot of data in our database tables, but today I'll just focus on the data that we have inserted previously. So if you do not have the data that we have inserted previously, make sure you watch the previous episode of this series, so that you also have the data that we're going to work with today. So today we're going to manipulate the data that already exists. So if you do not have the data, go back to the video suggested at the top here, so that you can watch how to insert and which records were inserted. But besides, I will show you the records that we've inserted previously, and these are the records for tracks. That's the table. These are the records for the tracks table, and then the records for drivers are these ones. This one is just highlighted because when I took the photo or the snip, I was highlighting this email address, so never mind about it. Then we have trips. And then lastly we have truck drivers. So these are the records that we have in our database. I'm sure everybody must have these these records. So these are the records that we want to manipulate. For instance, we have trucks, and at this column color for this record CBA4321 truck, we have no record, we have no color for this vehicle, so we might need to update it. Or maybe somebody has typed the reg number or the number plate wrongly, so you might need to update this value, or you need to change column values for certain records that exist within our table. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's just open our workbench. We'll open our workbench. Right, we connect to our MySQL database. Then the first thing is known by everybody. The first thing is to select the database that we want to use. So let me enable these panels to be visible. So we use this database. So this is the database here. If we run that, you will see that our focus is going to be on this database. Right, so what do we want to do? The first thing is we want to see the data that is available within drivers table. So to do so, we select all columns from drivers, then we terminate, we execute that. You will see that these are the records that we have. Let me just close this side and that side so that you can see all the values. We have ID num, so these are the two records that we have, this one and that one, and I'm sure it matches the values that I've illustrated here on the PowerPoint. So here are the records, those are the records for drivers table. And then from there I can select to say I want to see what is in trucks table. Do I have trucks table? Yes, it's there, trucks. Then I run it. We can see these are the two records that we have. So that's the first thing to check whether the records are there or not. Otherwise you need to check it within the query so that you run your queries safely. So these are the records that we have within trucks. So you also need to check with your own database to say, do I have these values? If you do not have these values and you wish to have them, then you can actually run the queries to insert, or you can insert these records using the user interface, the graphical user interface. And let's just select and view the data that exists within trips table. Here we have these two trips, trip ID 2, trip ID 4. Right, okay. What about what about truck driver? If we run that, you can see that we have this driver having that being assigned to that vehicle, this driver being assigned to that vehicle. So that's fine, that's okay. And what else we have? We just need to check our users. Do we have any users? I think I gave you this as a takeaway so that you go and insert more users in your users table. Mine does not have any user. I don't think I'm going to work with users in this series. Right, so now that we know every record that is within our database, the next thing is now to update. So since we have observed that in our database table called What's the name of the table? The table called trucks does not have color for the vehicle with the registration number CBA4321. So what do we need to do? We need to update that. The first thing is to select trucks, if I'm not mistaken, trucks. So let's execute that. See this? Yes, we don't have color for vehicle with the registration number CBA4321. So we need to update it so that for us to view the results of our query, what do we need to do? What we can do is we run the select command after the update so that we can actually see and observe the results of our query. So we say update update what? Trucks. Okay, I want to update. Then what do I do? From the syntax that I've given you, the syntax that I've given you is here. So here you say update table name, then you set column name of the value, column name value, where clause. So that's how it's done. So we say trucks, then we just want to be smart, set. What do we want to set is the color. So color is equal to what? We want this to be, it's what color is this truck? I wonder, let's say this is blue, right? Blue Honda feet. Then we terminate this command and then we execute it. So you can see that, you can see from the output here, action output, 2 rows affected. This one, and it's saying 2 rows affected because this select query is the one that is affecting 2 rows. So that's it. We now have color blue set for this vehicle. So that's the output. We have updated trucks table and we've set blue as the color for the vehicle. Okay, no, we've omitted the where clause. That's why we are having blue on every vehicle. You see, we've omitted the where clause. That's why we have every record assigned blue color. So that's what I was saying when I said don't forget to use the where clause, otherwise the update will be applied to all records within the table. So that's what happened here. So you need to be very careful so that you apply the where clause. Now we do not want to have blue here, we want to have red so that we update the vehicle with the reg number ABC1234. So we say where reg num is equal to ABC1234. Then we close that one. So this record is the only one that is going to be affected, and we will only have red here. So let's run that one as well and check. Right, this one is red, this one is blue. Perfect. We no longer have missing values in our table. Right, so that's what we have. That's what we have. That's what we can do. Now, let's say we want to change the IP, the primary key. Let's say you want to change the primary key to say maybe I've made a mistake when I was recording this vehicle. The reg number is not ABC1234, but it's actually ACB1234. What do I do? Of course, you can actually manipulate this this record, or you can update this record using the update. So I'm going to comment out all this. I'm going to comment out all that so that I can write more code. Right, so what I was saying, we want to change. Let's say we've made a mistake here, but now the thing is, if you want to change this record, okay, before we do that, let's just change another let's just have another column, another table that we can update. Let's have another table that we can update. Let's just select all from truck drivers. Let's from trucks. From drivers, and then run that. Right, let's assume that one of the drivers has changed the home address. Let's say one of the drivers changed the home address. Right, if that person has changed the home address, what we do, we just need to run the update query. So let me copy that, and this is trucks, and I can comment it. So some were asking me, why is it some other codes can actually have comments with the hash instead of this character? I will tell you why. Right, so let me save this query as what? Save script as patch 3c. Right, save it like that. Right, so we want to update the home address for Shexa. It's 345 Kanye, which is Zimbabwe. So we want to update this. So what we do, right? You have observed that previously we used the reg number, which is the primary key, but you can use any column depending on what you want to achieve. But you need to be very careful with the column or attribute that you use to update a record in a table. So you need to be very careful with the column that you use in the where clause. So let's say I want to change home address for Shexa. I can say update what? Drivers. So let me open this panel so that I can see the name of the exact name of my tables. Update drivers table, set home address. Home address is now equal to, let's say Shexa now stay in Harare. Let's just say 1221 Mount Pleasant. Unpleasant it's in Harare, Zimbabwe. Right, so this is the new home address for who? For Shexa. So I can say where, I can now put my where clause here. So instead of using a primary key, you can use unique keys or unique columns. Like here we have, let's just click this and observe that ID num is the primary key, but phone and email address are also unique keys. So we can use these. Let's try that. Let's just say where phone is equal to, right, phone, Shexa's phone is this one. So you can copy that and paste it in there, and then execute and see if the address for Shexa is going to change from 345 Gani. So let's run that. Let's check. Oh, it has changed. That's fine. It has changed. So we've updated. We can update using any candidate key. You can use any candidate key in your table. You can use any unique key. You can use the primary key in your where clause. But now, is it possible for me to use, let's say, first name? You can also use first name, but by default in Workbench it must not be allowed. Let's just check where fname is equals to Shexa. Let's say that's what you remember. This is not safe. Why? Because what will happen is this, if we do have more than one Shexa, then it means all the records with first name is Shexa, they are also going to be affected, and the home address is going to be 12211 Pleasant, Harare, Zimbabwe. So we don't want that to happen. So let's just check what will happen. Let's run. It executed successfully. Let me do this so that we can see all the action output. So that's what you have here. But if we open our preferences, you observe that it's because I haven't checked this item. So if I check this, I'm sure some of you, or most of you, if not all of you, you have this option checked. So if you have this checked, it ensures that you update your table records safely, or you delete safely by enforcing the use of the keyword like key columns, unique key columns, and primary keys. Only those are the ones that will be allowed if you want to change or if you want to update. Let's just say here it's now 989 Mount Pleasant. If I try to update using fname, which is not a key, which is not a unique key or no primary key, you will see what happens. Let me try to execute that. Then you will see the error here. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds. Let me move it that side. I'm sure most of you might have faced this error. So to resolve it, you just go to edit, preferences, and then you click on SQL editor, then scroll down at the bottom, you uncheck save updates, and then click OK. Then it will allow you, if you try to run it again, you have an error. Check the one that's near what? Near fname. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, this is the error, but it executed successfully. So let's just check if we have 9 what. Yes, we know I have 9 something. No, I have 9891 Pleasant. It's not there. So you execute it, it's going to give you no error. It's going to give you no error because we have unchecked there. We've unchecked the save updates. So now that's what happens. But this is not safe. This is not safe. This is not safe. You affect the rows that were not supposed to be affected. So what we do is we make sure that this checkbox is selected. We only use unique columns or primary columns or candidate keys, if you want to say it that way. Right, so if you do not understand these terms of unique key and primary keys and whatever, you can watch one of the videos that I have uploaded on this channel. You can watch it at your own time. Right, I think we're done with this simple update. Let's just comment that. Let's now try to change the IP address. Okay, anyway, that's okay. Let's now try to change. Let's select all columns from drivers and then run it. Right, these are the drivers that we have. Let's just say we have made a mistake when we were typing the ID number of this person. It's 2343. It must be 6 digits. 23453. So we've omitted another value. So let's assume that we have omitted a certain digit, and we have this ID number used in truck driver. So if we select truck driver, you observe that we have a record with this same ID number. So meaning to say the error was carried forward in all the records that include the erroneous ID number. So what do we need to do now? How do we resolve this? We need to update this. So we need to update it in drivers. So let's just select from drivers and try to update it from there. Right, so this is the drivers that we have. So we try to say so let's run it before here. So we say update what? Drivers. And what do you want to set? We want to set ID number to what? To a certain correct ID number, which is maybe 08234531Y27. So this is the correct ID, but we want to set this for who? For, let's just use let's put away clause where. So let me just separate this. So that's what we, so that you can see what we are doing. So you can clearly see. So where phone is equal to, let's just try to use this key. Let's just try to use this key, where ID now is equal to that one, and then we terminate. So our query is okay like that. Let's try to run it. What's the error? Cannot delete or update a parent row. A foreign key constraint fails. Meaning to say we cannot change this because we have another table utilizing the values that we have. So we are maintaining referential integrity. So you might be asked the question. Like, given these values in tables, drivers, trucks, and truck driver, and the ID number was mistakenly written, how will you update the driver's ID number without affecting relational database principles and the principle that we are trying to to violate here is the referential integrity. So how best can you actually solve this problem? How best can actually solve this problem? So what we can actually do is let's try to do it this way. Let me just bring in one of the lectures that we've talked about in the past. We've talked about how these tables are related to each other. So which one is supposed to be deleted first, or which one is supposed to be updated first? Which one is supposed to be updated first? So all that is very important for someone. So as a takeaway, let me just say, go and find out the best way of resolving this kind of error or this kind of mistake. How will you actually solve this kind of problem? You have mistakenly written a primary key and it's being used by several, let's say 7 other tables in the database are using the same the same wrong key as their foreign key in their tables. So here you can see that we have from one of the lectures we have these I think this is the first lecture if not mistaken. We have all that. These are the connections between our tables. So if you want to update this reg number, you need to update the records with the same reg number here first. But how will I do that? I will replace this reg number with a reg number that already exists within tracks. So in our case, it's an ID number that was mistakenly typed, and then we want to update it here. But if you update it, we are supposed to update it here as well. So what do we do? That's your takeaway, that's your homework. But now I will give you some solutions which are a bit long. So you are supposed to find the best solution which is better than the ones that I'm going to give you, if they exist. Right. So what you're supposed to do is, I will give you the first option. You may delete the records that exist within track driver first. After deleting these records, you can now update the ID number. After that, you may now reassign a vehicle to the driver who was having an ID number typed mistakenly or with an error. That's one solution. What the other way that you may solve this is, you may firstly add a new record in the driver's table with the correct ID number, but you add the record here. After adding the record, you come to this side, you update this record, the record which is having an ID number with an error. After that, you come back here and delete the driver's record with an ID number that was typed with an error. You are good to go. But the problem that you face is, if this driver's table has got phone number and email address that are defined as unique, you won't be able to add a new record with the same phone number and the same email address. So what you would have done is, you add a new record with the correct ID number and you put a certain value which is a demo value, or which is a void value, which means nothing, or you can put a 111 or test. Then after you have updated this truck driver, what you will do next is you then update again the driver's table. So this method, I will repeat it. You add a new record for the driver with the correct ID number, but for columns with unique constraint, you put a value that is different from those that exist. Then you go to track driver, you update and point to the ID number which is correct. After that, you come here and delete the driver's record with wrong ID number. After deleting that, you then update the correct driver's record, so that you put the actual correct values for phone and email address. So these are the two ways that I have for you, but you can find your own methods. Programming is an art, writing script code is an art. You can come up with your own solution. So what we're going to do here is we are going to use this method of deleting the child record, and then we come back to the main record, because we cannot say, or we can actually delete the driver, because we are cascading the deletion. So if we delete this record from drivers, then it's going to delete all the records that are having the same driver, and then we re-enter the records. So what we're going to do here is we are going to say we comment this one first, so that we can do what we want to do, and then enter here, say put our other comments so that we don't mix our things up, and then write our code in here. Right, so what you want to do first is to select from where, or the table that is using driver ID num is track driver. So we say track driver, I'm not typing, track driver. Right, we run to check the values. So we have these values. So the one that you want to update is this one, so we have to delete it. So what we do is we can delete it. You cannot update this one because the correct ID number does not exist within the primary table, that is the drivers table. So we have to delete this record first. But to avoid many steps, we can actually delete the record, the record in drivers table. But for the sake that we are doing, or we are learning update command, we are going to delete a record from the primary table. Delete from track driver, where driver let me just say this is where driver ID number is equal to 0823453 Y76, and then put that one. So we execute that and check the result. We have deleted that. So after deleting this, it means we can comment this now. We can comment that and then uncomment this, so that we can update our drivers table. We can uncomment that and then try to, so after that we need to check drivers table here. Right, let's execute. So what we are doing is we're trying to update the ID number to this value, where we are having this value as the ID number. So let's just check if we are going to be successful in executing this command. Right, there's an error. You can manual, there's an error near what, near 08 at line 1. So let's just use phone here. Let's use phone here. Let's use phone for the person with this ID is what, +27. That's the one that we're going to use. So we just say where phone is unique, I'm sure, where phone is equal to +27 654 382 929. Right, let me try to run this one. Right, it has been executed successfully. So you cannot you cannot put the same column in the where clause and the one that is going to be changed. So that's the result. We've changed, we've updated this. It's now having a 1 like what we've set there. But now in the child table, which is the truck driver, we haven't so let's comment out this one. So and get back to select truck driver. Truck driver. From there we run that. Then you can see that we have this record. Now what do we want to do? We now want to insert or want to assign this driver to a vehicle. So that's the normal business transaction that we are supposed to do when we are having this truck management system. So what you do then here is you now insert into truck driver. Right, and which columns do you want to insert, and you specify the values and to terminate. So the columns that you want to insert the values, these are, this is truck driver, right? So truck driver TDID is auto increment, but you can specify a value if you want to. Driver ID now, then we say truck range now, right? So that's what we want to put. So TDID, so we check, we want to maintain these values that are here, these values. We have 5 as TDID, and then so let's just put 5, and then we put a comma. What else do we have? 08 that. So we now need to put that ID number, which was 08, which was 0823 453 4531 Y76. Right, this is in quotes. And then reg number, it's ABC 1 2 3 4. So execute that and check the result. Right, this is supposed to be, I think there must be an error because we forgot to put this in quotes. right, let's run that. Values, this one matches that, this one matches that. Let's check the output. You're giving an error. Cannot add or update a child in a row. A foreign key constraint fails. Meaning to say the value that we've put here is not the correct one. It's not the correct one. Okay, to check that, let's just select from drivers. Let's just select from drivers and check the value, the primary key, the driver's ID number. The driver's ID number is this one. This is the one that we want to proceed. This is the one that we want here. Copy. Right, and then uncomment this. And uncomment that. So we untrack driver table, then we execute that. Then you can see that we now have our records as they were in the previous lecture here. You can see that's what we have. We have updated the primary key. So that's the procedure that you follow if you want to do that. So you can also so we have talked about updating any column of a database table using any column, but you need to be very careful because in the where clause, the column that you use there must be a unique key or a primary key. Otherwise, you will have a disaster. So when writing these queries in an Excel, you know, if you write a query with a select and a clause, and in your clause you use a table that is not a unique key or a primary key, then you must state that you are assuming that the software that you are using allows you to update in that manner. Otherwise you lose some points, because these are the assumptions that you are expected to state when writing such statements. So for you to be safe, you just need to state that assumption, but make sure you select and use a where clause, and in your where clause make sure you use a unique column or a primary key. Right, I think here we are good. Now let's see another way of updating values. You can also update values. Let's say you want to update, let's go to trips. Trips is the one that we're going to finish with in this project or in this series. Trips, let's just comment out everything here. Let's just comment out all of this. Right, trips, let's just select everything from, select all columns from trips, run that. Right, so you can see that we have one trip, another trip is gone. Why? Because we've deleted the driver assignment, so that's why we have lost this, because we've cascaded the deletion of some records. So we might need to re-enter or reinsert the data. So let's just rush insert into trips these columns which corresponds to these values, and then terminate. So let's just check trips. All right, we have TID, comma, we have source, which is typed like this. Don't put in the wrong spelling there. Destination, we have depart date, we have return date, date, we have fuel, we have TDID. Right, so the values that we want to put here, let's just take from our PowerPoint the values of our trips table. So this is our trips table. We have lost this record, so it's TDID 4. TDID is 4, and source is Chinoy, and from Chinoy we are going to Botswana. From Botswana we are going to depart on this date. We're going to depart on this string to date. Then the date that you want to depart, the date was what, 15 04 2021, and here we put percentage D, percentage what month, and then percentage year, percentage year, right. Here it's not, it's this code here, put that as well. It's just a small d, a small m. Where's my scope? And that like that, and that like that, and cross this. Alright, that's the depart date, and then I put the return date. Return date was 23. Let's put 23. Alright, something like that. And then from that, what else do we have? We have fuel. Fuel was 200. So put a comma and say 200. And then from 200, TDID was 5. So put 5 there. And try to execute that. If we get an error, we try to correct it. Right, it's done. It's done like that. So since we want to update, since we want to do an update to this record, so let's just comment this one. Yeah. 5, 15, 20, let's go get it. That's correct. Let's now update the record. So what I want to show you here is that we can manipulate these values. So what you want to do is update what? Trips. So let's assume that the driver was going to Botswana from Chinoy and updated or added fuel as he or she was going to Botswana. So what we want to update is fuel, but we cannot just add. Maybe you don't remember the first amount that you have inserted, that you have added to your fuel, to your vehicle. So you say, how much have I added? So you just add that amount to an amount that is already existing in the database. So what you do is you say set, and what do you want to set is the fuel amount, and then you say fuel amount is equal to the fuel that was already in existence plus the fuel that you've added. Maybe you've added just 30 liters, so you put 30 liters there, and then you put where clause. You put your where clause, and then you say where what, where TID, is equal to 4, and then you terminate. You try to run that. So what you want to check is the amount of fuel here, so you can add that, you can execute that. So you can observe that we now have 230 as the fuel amount, or you can actually deduct. It's now 200. You can do the same with the dates. So you can say depart date, depart date is equal to depart date minus 3. So you observe that the depart date is going to be affected. The depart date for this is 15. You see that we subtract 3 from here, and we subtract 30 from there, but we do not subtract fuel, we add fuel. So let me just say add here, and then maybe we have added 3 more days before we depart. So execute that. You see it's now 18 here, and it's now 230 fuel here. So that's how we work with update. If there are more commands or more manipulations, then you can as well do that. So let's just try again to say, let's say I want also to manipulate destination is that, and plus let me just add Botswana. I'm going to Botswana, and from Botswana I go to Zambia, and then execute. Let's see if we're going to have an error. Yes, we must have an error. Update trips truncated, incorrect, double value Botswana. Okay, incorrect. Okay, that's fine. It's because I'm using this operator there. So that's what you do with update. So you can add more functions. So that's your takeaway. You can go and research on other working with functions, or embedding functions or mathematical operations within your SQL queries, SQL update queries. And what we're going to cover next is the select. And with the select, we are going to select trips with certain amount of fuel. Let's say I will just give you a hint. Let's just comment that one out. Let's comment this one out here. This one is not commented. Let's comment this one out. Right, so we may say select all from trips where fuel is greater than 200. So you will find out that you have only this record with 250. But if you say less than 200, less than or equal to 200, then you find this record. So that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for coming to watch this content. Please don't forget to subscribe to Shexa's YouTube channel, like and comment. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.